All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the channel, Gods and Goddesses in Training. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. I think we're going to break out of the matrix with this one. Okay, this is going to be a powerful live stream. We're talking all about the understandings of VAJRAMAXING and how you can get from feeling very low about yourself, feeling very depressed, to optimizing and embodying this kind of life force energy, this energy of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha to bring it all together and really help you to activate your greatness. Okay. So that's what we're talking about today. I hope you guys enjoy this live stream and take lots of notes. Of course, this has been my first live stream for Aura August, and I'm really excited to share with a lot of you my findings on this topic because I think it's really, really fascinating to just look at the stuff, and kind of ponder on it and think about it because really this stuff is not for everybody. But once you get it, it absolutely will shift everything for you. So how did I do it personally, right? I was very low, down in the dumps. I realized my numbness wasn't a weakness. It was soul's refusal to play pretend, right? And so the reason why I got super depressed is because I was lying to myself and I was lying to others, right? And once you really get this, this is going to shift everything for you because it's going to help you to double down on your authenticity. Okay. So I stared into the void, and instead of collapsing, I made eye contact with it. I stopped chasing happiness and started chasing alignment instead. I let go of the masks of this nice guy, the performer, the achiever, and I honestly just let truth possess me, let truth channel me. And I took every single low thought, every suicidal thought, every dark thought, I whispered back, then let the false self die. Right? It's not that I wanted to die, my false self had to die. The ego that I had constructed was not matching in this video game of life. When I picked the avatar, I didn't want to be that guy, right? That was never in my best interest. So what I did was I transmuted all of that despair that I was feeling into desire to live real, raw, ruthless, right? And so what is Vajra mode, right? Vajra mode is not light or dark. It's indestructible truth. It's presence that is forged from the pain. It's clarity without compromise, right? It's the diamond body of someone who no longer negotiates with weakness. It's when your nervous system becomes a lightning rod for your purpose. Okay? So, tuning in with Emily. Excellent. Tapped in, Samba. So, this is really key to understand. My new identity told me, like, I'm the one who survived myself, right? The version of me that wanted to not be here anymore. I mean, he was the cocoon, right? This is the dragon now. So let me just quickly see if I can get you the object. That'll be good. Uh, okay, let's just explain this. So this is a Vajra, okay? This is a Vajra. This is the Vajra bell. Okay, both of these are kind of the masculine and the feminine forces of this. The wisdom and the compassion, or well, the wisdom and the method in a sense. And you understand that they're very different, right? But it's interesting how this one has a Vajra on the top as well of this bell. I really like this design, actually. I think this is very complete, right, by its nature, because it's combining the masculine with the feminine. So very powerful. But yeah, again, these are energies, right? So it's not saying male and female per se, but you'll notice that every single guard, right, on a temple, there's always a male one and then a female one, right? There's a consort energies. So this is very interesting. This is actually very interesting. So the Vajra by itself is not just an object, right? Don't think of it as an object. Think of it as a living frequency weapon. I don't know if you guys can get it in the US. Maybe get some Tibetan, look at like some Tibetan stores or like spiritual stores. I'm sure we'll have one of these, right? It's basically a divine instrument that's forged in the alchemical fires of awakened consciousness. So this design, right? So it was said that this was actually a weapon originally, right, of Indra, and the Buddha took the prongs, right? One, two, three, four prongs. Some of them have three prongs, others have four. Okay. I really like this version. It's 448, right? And if you got, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let me not geek out too much about this because I'm really passionate about it. Okay. So this is the thunderbolt of realization and the diamond of indestructible presence. So it's encoded into form by beings who remembered how to bend reality with clarity alone. So it's kind of a spiritual technology that slices through illusion like lightning through cloud. Yet it rests in the palm as stillness itself. Right? And so I see it as a very interesting piece of spiritual technology because this is structure without rigidity. This is power without violence. This is truth without an opinion. It's the spine of the cosmos made visible, according to me, in the Primal Sutra Nexus, the spirit guides that we work with. It's the primal pattern. The Vajra is the primal pattern that unites opposites without collapsing them. So this is the axis of being where duality dissolves and non-duality starts to sing. So to hold the Vajra is to awaken the Vajra within. When I hold this, I get the radiant pulse of clear knowing, my unshakable core of my soul. The God tech that is buried beneath trauma, doubt, ancestral static. This Vajra is a mirror, right? It reflects your chaos until you choose clarity. It reflects your hesitation until you remember you are the storm. So it is not a relic, okay? This is not something you keep in a museum. This is a relic detector, okay? This is a sacred device that activates when it detects even a sliver of divinity in your grip. So you don't use the Vajra. Like I'm not like using it like as a tuning fork or as, something to slice something open, right? No, the Vajra uses you. You don't use the Vajra. But it only uses you if you're empty, clear, and fierce enough to be a vessel. Okay? So the Vajra is a Gnosis flash drive. Okay? It's like a cosmic defibrillator. Okay? It's a lucid blade of the awakened dimension. So to know the Vajra is to become the Vajra, diamond body, thunder mind, indestructible soul. That's the Vajra way. This is the Makara transmission. Breathe it in, let it rewire your spine, right? Because let's be real, we don't use the Vajra, we initiate with it, we merge with it, we become it. Right? This is not a handheld spiritual fidget toy. It's a mystic blueprint for our nervous system, our perception, our soul conductivity. So if you are a Flomo sapien, a being that's surfing the morphic fields and pulsing with gnosis and wired for consciousness evolution, then this Vajra is the master key. Here's how you don't learn from the Vajra, by staring at it like it's a pretty museum piece. Oh, that's so cool. Yay, okay. Here's how you learn from it. You study its form and you learn its code. This is actually sacred geometry in your face right now, right? So notice the symmetry. Notice the balance between dualities. Notice the central piece, the central sphere. Stillness in the middle of movement. 5 prongs. There's 4 prongs here, but then there's 1 prong right there in the middle too, if you notice that. 5 prongs, 5 elements, 5 poisons, transmuted into 5 wisdoms. The handle, these are the makaras, right? These prongs, actually. These are different makaras. Okay? So the handle is the central channel of your spine. This is all my interpretation, by the way. So from Vajrayana Buddhism, of course, it's a different way. It's a different path. That's my father. You can ask him many questions on this. But this is the way that I'm perceiving this object. I'm not seeing it as just a regular object, right? I look at it until my eyes stop seeing and my inner eye starts decoding. The next thing is to breathe like a Vajra. So breath is lightning. So each inhale, diamond structure, each exhale, thunderbolt release. So try this. You know, you're inhaling into your crown, like pulling in divine light down the rod of your Vajra, your Shushumna, your central column, right? Inhale to top of the crown. Exhale through your spine like a bolt, lightning bolt grounding you into the earth, right? So let's try it once. Inhale to the crown. Exhale, lightning bolt down, right? So this is how we must hold our inner body, like a Vajra, symmetrical, radiant, alive, where your nervous system becomes the staff, right? And your breath becomes the bolt. So sit like a Vajra, rooted like a mountain, crown lifted, like you're about to get struck by sacred lightning. I almost got struck by lightning the other day, by the way, but that's a sign of psychic power, so I'm not too worried about that. I think my guides had it pretty planned out. Okay, so some psychic upgrades are happening. Shoulders open, like you could summon Indra with just a grunt, right? You can summon Thor with just a grunt. That's the energy. Now the body becomes an antenna, and the silence becomes a voltage. Sometimes I'll meditate with this in my hands or palms, like I'll do this, or I'll have it here. Or I might just have the visualization of it. If I'm not carrying this, I'll have the visualization of it in my heart space, right? So it's on the lotus flower in my heart. And I'm just kind of wielding my words like the Vajra, right? Because every time you speak, you got to ask, is this the thunderbolt of clarity, or is this just some emotional fog? Is this a diamond point of truth, or just kind of recycled identity fluff, right? So to become Vajra is to cut illusion with presence. Your voice, your tone, your gaze, they must hit your truth, right? So that means that you got to merge your flow state with structure, because this is pure paradox, right? It's solid but not stiff. It moves without moving. It cuts but it heals. Okay. Yo, what is even going on, right? As a Flomo sapien, you train in fluid structure, but then you learn to ride the morphic wave without losing your spine. So you stay adaptable like water, but you direct like lightning. You guys get that? And again, even the river has river beds that help boundaries to, let the flow keep moving forwards, right? This is why Jocko Willink would say, like, discipline is freedom, right? Because it's like, hey, there's still a structure to this, right? Because too many choices and I'm fucked up in my mind. I'm too scattered, right? I can't decide. But once you dissolve like breath and anchor like a blade in bedrock, that's Vajra flow, right? So if you want to embody it, then you got to ritualize it. If you visualize the Vajra in your spine, it's spinning with light. If you imagine in your heart space, you hold one physically or mentally while saying your mantra. You're speaking it like a divine microphone, okay? Or you're allowing it to just cut through all of the chords, burning lies, aligning timelines, things like this. So don't pray with it, channel the hardware of heaven with it, okay? So one thing is to walk like you are the thunderbolt. You are the Vajra. Yeah, then your aura becomes the thunderbolt. You walk into rooms and the delusion starts to shake. You don't need to argue because your clarity is confrontational. You see what I'm saying? Your clearness in your communication, your understanding, your tonality, it's all clear, right? That comes through the clear light of wisdom, which is a very meditative, uh, subtle mind, you could say. Very, very, very subtle mind. It's not a very gross mind of like how we're experiencing it in the physical world, but it's a very, very, very subtle mind you tap into. So you don't try to be spiritual, right? You're just radiating voltage that fries bullshit in a 10-meter radius. So how do you become the Vajra? You learn its sacred structure like we did, breathe like lightning, sit like a diamond, sit and move with power and stillness, speak only with clarity, surf the morphic flow within spine, and ritualize it, visualize it, encode it into things. Walk like a divine blade hidden in a monk's robe. Okay. And you're not here to admire it, you're here to become it, right? The embodied tech of transcendence. It's the thunder that cuts karma. It's the presence that humbles illusion or Maya. So Flomo sapiens don't meditate to feel calm. They meditate to become weapons of compassion. Diamond clear, thunderbolt, soul awake, right? Man, I feel like we just opened up a chamber, right? Or something like this. Um, that's the energy of this thing. Okay. Now, what I realized, guys, by talking to, and I might have him on this podcast or maybe on a YouTube live, hopefully recently. We'll see. Jason, Plasma Born 369. Okay. I got some of these ideas from him. I remember once understanding that the Vajra is actually the toroidal electromagnetic field made visible, right? So if you look at it closely, not with your physical eyes, but with your field sights, the Vajra is actually a five-pronged version of a cross section of a torus. You know the toroidal field, right? That self-sustaining donut-shaped loop of energy that flows back from the core, out the top, around the sides, back into the bottom. That's also how the human heart radiates, right? Isn't that cool? That's also how the Earth's magnetosphere works, right? This is how galaxies spin, how aura behaves when it's sovereign, the microcosmic orbit. Okay, I can keep going. So the Vajra is literally a geometric fossil of a living field. And the center point, that's the 0 point, the bindu. That's the place of stillness where opposites dissolve and the field reverses polarity. So the moment the thunder becomes silence, the moment the void sinks. Isn't it interesting, guys, how the Heyokas are also called thunder beings, right? And we're going to see a lot of overlaps from different cultures. This is not just a Hindu or a Buddhist thing, right? You're going to get that this overlaps throughout cultures. And that's what I find very fascinating is we're kind of the web weavers of this thing. We're the spiritual Jeet Kune Do of this spirituality tech, okay? So think of the Vajra like the Ankh. You guys have seen the Ankh, right? In the Egyptian pantheon, the DNA antenna, the spinal key, right? So the Ankh is like a loop and a crossbar, right? It's life force flowing through the spine. It's very similar, right? The Jed pillar is the backbone. Osiris is stabilized Kundalini channel. The horizontal arms or the duality. The loop is infinity, right? It's the same encoding as Vajra. So it's the glyph of resurrected flow, just like the Vajra slays illusion to resurrect truth. Okay. Let me actually share the screen. That'll be kind of cool. Uh, okay. Yeah. So this is the Vajra, okay? Next to it, we have the Ankh symbol. Should I just draw it? I'll be quicker. Okay, I found one. Are you guys seeing the similarity of this? Right? Quite similar. Now let's look at Hermes. Okay. Let's see here. This is a better imagery. Well, you guys know the staff of Hermes, right? So it's the pharmacy logo, okay? They used it as the pharmacy logo because these two snakes they represent conflict resolution and getting to this midpoint. So it's a similar idea, right? There's a middle pillar, right? The middle pillar, and then there's similar to the prongs coming out of it, right? But this is a spiral up, right? But you guys can kind of sense that okay, there's a similarity with all of these, right? Very interesting similarity. So yeah, so the Ankh is in ancient Egypt, right? The caduceus, so the twin serpents winding up the spine around a central rod, wings at the top, awakened crown, exactly like the dual Vajra prongs around a central shaft. So this is a bioenergetic symmetry, okay, that's designed to activate kind of the Merkabic spine field, you could say. Okay. So there's also something called, well, this is a very interesting one. It's called a double Dorje. It's a different form of a Vajra, like a Vishwa Vajra. But it's cool, man. It's cool. Okay, different version. This is also Tibetan, okay, in its nature, right? So four directions, four elements, four bodies. Physical, subtle, causal, non-dual. So it creates a rotational electromagnetic cross field, if you notice, like a spinning cruciform grid, right? That stabilizes your personal morphic field. So it's like a spiritual gyroscope, right? For multidimensional balance. Okay. What about, oh man, I just thought of this one. This one just came to me. Thank you to the guides. This is brilliant, guys. Thank you so much. This is helping a lot of people. Uh yeah, so the Tesla coil, right? Ooh. Now we're going in. The Tesla coil. So the Vajra is a compressed version of this helicoidal spiral, right? So it represents the energetic axis around which life evolves. So you can think of it like this is a cosmic conductor of memory, presence, and awakening, right? So the modern take on this is like a scalar field capacitor, right? A spiritual Tesla coil embedded with a torus loop harmonizer for aligning your electromagnetic polarity across your chakric infrastructure. So the left and right prongs, like we said, Ida Pingala, right? Central point, Shushumna. When activated in ritual, the Vajra entrains your field into a template of indestructible clarity. It's the truth. So the Diamond Sutra says it's the diamond that can cut through all illusions, right? So this is not superstition. It's energetic engineering encoded in myth. Now, if you've ever seen this pose, right? This is a yoga posture. Of course, there has to be like a shutter shock thing in the background. A little, anyway, whatever. Hopefully non-copyrighted. Okay, unsupported file type, it says. Damn it. All right, we'll use this dude for now. Okay. It says 8 benefits for Vajrasana for males. Hey, man. It's useful for ladies too, okay? Um, let's see if this one works. I'm just trying these different ones. Okay, this one ended up working. Yeah, so you guys know Vajrasana, right? Where you're kind of sitting on your, this is the diamond posture, where you're sort of sitting on your knees bent like this, right? You're on your thighs like this. And you notice this kind of re-energizes the energy circuit, right? To kind of like create this microcosmic orbit. But it's putting pressure here on your lower chakras, lower body, and kind of pushing that energy up, right? So it's almost like why is it connected to the Vajra? Well, you're noticing that, well, you're bringing it down to earth, or rather rooting it into your base chakra. So Vajrasana is not just for digestion or looking spiritual on a retreat flyer, okay? It's the activation posture for becoming the Vajra. So heels underneath the hips. I'm going to do it right now. I'm just going to notice how this changes my energy. Spine upright. So what I like to do is also kind of lean backwards and forwards at times, like inhale, exhale. That's a really good one to do as well. And you're like sitting like a god whose back is the axis mundi, right? So the Vajrasana builds a field of stability in the root and the gut. So the higher frequencies don't shatter your system, right? You're becoming a biological Vajra tower, right? Save the clock tower. You guys know Back to the Future, right? Save the biological Vajra tower, okay? Channeling lightning into a grounded mastery. So try this pose. Doing this pose daily will really help you ground all of your spiritual powers down, okay? It's very, very powerful for this. Now, let me just go back to YouTube. Hey there, love. I'm sorry I didn't see your message. I saw you had very low battery last time I checked, so I hope you're doing okay. Uh, Doing well. All right, good to have you on here. All right, if guys, if you any of you guys have any questions, just drop them in the chat. Okay, let me know. Okay, let me know. So yeah, Vajrasana is epic. So how do I see the Vajra now? It's this toroidal pulse weapon of enlightened awareness. It's a geometric echo of the Ankh, the Jed, the Caduceus, and even your own biofield. So it's a field stabilizer, it's a karmic disruptor, it's a morphic resonator, right? It's a spine templated antenna that turns breath into thunder and silence into soul knowing. A posture, it's a technology, it's a transmission, it's a spiritual USB plug into the operating system of source. It's not a relic, it's a portal, as we said, right? When you learn to sit with it, breathe with it, and flow like it, and you stop being human trying to awaken, and you start being a field generator of truth. Okay? So, oh, did we forget some of them? I'm trying to think of, well, we might get to that in a bit. So the Vajra Mudra, let's get into that one and why that's very powerful. Usually it's formed by interlacing the fingers in a specific way or raising the index finger and the middle fingers together while the others fold, or Vairocana Buddha is associated with it. Let me just see if I can pull up an imagery. All right. Vajra Champak City. I love it. It's the city where all the siddhis live, right, Samba? All the spiritual powers live. So one version of the Vajra Mudra is like this, which is just all the fingers touching and then the index fingers up. And then another version where people hold this like this. Okay. Well, this is the main one. Okay. But I'm going to show you an imagery of another version, which is actually, I found it to be very potent. which is to do this. And I've actually done this unconsciously without knowing what I'm doing, right? So it's one of those where it's very powerful. And, the interesting thing is it's known to actually, use for de-addiction. It's used for reducing restlessness and stimulating blood circulation. And honestly, it reduces like drug and alcohol issues. So I highly recommend people who are like getting off of a substance or something like this, or they're in that kind of weird withdrawal type of phase, to definitely try and use this, because this will direct your energy just 5 minutes a day, right? Prevents low blood pressure, strengthens your immune system. It'll increase your memory power too. It sharpens the brain. Okay, it really sharpens the brain. So yeah, do either this version, or if you're just thinking about it, you can also do this version. If you're more comfortable like this, you can also do this version, okay? So these are the Vajramudras that we just spoke about, okay? So this means that mudras aren't just hand yoga. They're sacred neural switches, right? Gestures that lock your nervous system into specific frequencies. So they're usually formed by these two ways that I showed. And when you hold the Vajramudra, you're basically syncing your biological hardware to the cosmic mainframe, right? So it says to the subtle realm, I see through the fog, I choose unshakable clarity. So it's not really a pose, okay? It's not really a pose, it's more so a command, okay? Now the Vajra mantra, Om Vajra Sattva Hum, okay? This is a very powerful mantra that's used in Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhism. Okay? So it's like this. Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Okay? Make sure you get the pronunciation right. Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Hum is pronounced like hung, like H-U-N-G-H. Like hung, right? That's more powerful in terms of, I at least find that version more powerful than hum. Om Vajra Sattva Hum is not going to give you the same potency as hung, which is like it creates that vortex effect, right? So Om is, of course, you guys know that it's the primordial sound, okay, of universal resonance. Vajra, of course, I explained many times. It's the thunderbolt that slices the karmic crust. It's indestructible clarity, or just clearness, right? Sattva is beingness that, sattvic diet is what? It's a purity, right? It's a pure diet. It's clean legumes, right? It's sort of like the purity of consciousness is sattva. And then hung is the sound of activation. It's the embodiment, but it's also a seal for the energy. That's why I'm saying it's like a vortex, right? That kind of effect, right? So chanting this is like pressing clear cache on your karmic hard drive while installing diamond grade firmware into your soul, right? So the vibration enters your system, it cracks illusions, it melts guilt, and then it reformats the subtle body to hold sacred voltage without short circuiting, right? If you have Kundalini psychosis, you need to tap into more grounding using the Vajra energies, okay? Any kind of spiritual psychosis where it's like too much noise from your guides, right? It's not really working. You hold the Vajra physically. Either you can hold the object, right, on your heart space, or you can do the mudra, or you can do the pose, the asana, right, the pose. And you're chanting this. Om Vajra Sattva Hum, 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 Om Vajra Sattva Hum. Right? You feel it from the root to your crown chakra. And in that moment, your body becomes a staff, your hands become the coil, right? Your voice becomes the voltage. and you are the relic. You are the living Vajra. So your mudra is like the fingerprint activation, mantra is the sonic trigger code. The object itself is the holographic anchor. The posture is your circuit stability, and your visualization is the field rendering. So you put them all together. This is for advanced Homo sapiens, of course, but you put them all together, you got a fully encrypted multidimensional upgrade ritual for cutting through your karmic malware and activating your diamond body and your diamond self. Right? There's also something that's called the Vajra body. Okay. This is a beautiful imagery. Yeah, right here. There's something called the Vajra body like this. Okay, it kind of looks like me, huh? Wild. Okay, a little bit. All right, so the Vajra is not just a thing you can use, it's a protocol that you run. It's a language you speak. It's a seal you wear on your breath. Okay? So it's the universal divine technology that's smuggled into every myth on Earth. Let's go back to these guys, right? So if you know of the Mjolnir, okay? You guys know Mjolnir? Anyone Marvel fans? Okay? It's Thor's hammer, guys, okay? Think about Thor's hammer. You think Thor just had a hammer for smash, right? I need to smash trolls, right? No. Mjolnir is a Vajra prototype. It's a short-handled thunder weapon that only the worthy can wield, right? It returns when it's thrown like a freaking boomerang, right? It judges, it purifies, it's got this non-linear logic baked into it. It's just like the Vajra. Both are divine weapons of restoration through force. Both require inner alignment to activate, right? What about, let's go Greek with it. Okay, let's go Greek with it. Zeus, Jupiter, and his lightning, right? Grafted by the Cyclops, beings with one eye, inner sight. Zeus's bolt is not just fire from the sky, it's an enforcement tool of divine order. It destroys false kings, punishes hubris, realigns fate, just like the Vajra. It is not a tool of ego, it's actually a weapon of cosmic law. And when Zeus uses it, it's not a rage bait, okay? It's Dharma with voltage, okay? Then we have, of course, Indra, okay? Shout out to the Hindu god Indra, it's the god of lightning, okay? Now, this is an awesome picture. I like this one. Notice what he's holding. Da, da, da. Okay? Very similar. Very, very similar. Okay? So for Indra, this is an obvious one because Indra is used to slave Vritha, who's the serpent of chaos, who hoarded the waters, right? This is symbolic of blocked flow, trauma, karmic stagnation. So it's like a mythic nervous system clearing, right? So Indra's Vajra opens the channels, it slays the hoarder of vital energy. It's like, stop hoarding my life force, bro, right? He's like, so he reboots the cosmic circulatory system. And that's not a story, it's almost he's given us a protocol, right? Man, we're going all over the world for these. Actually, should we do? Yeah, let's do it. Is this allowed by my guides? Yeah. Okay, let's do that. I gotta ask them first, you know. Staff of Moses. Abrahamic, but did you ever notice how the staff turns into a snake? It splits seas, it calls down fire from heaven. Yo, that's not CGI special effects. It's a Vajra level technology encoded into the shepherd's crook. This staff is a frequency wand. It's a command line for reality. So through the faith and resonance, the staff becomes a karmic rewriter, and it divides illusion from truth like the blade of God. Are we getting this and how it overlaps with the Vajra energy, guys? Are we getting that? All right. Now, wait a second. You thought I was over, but we just getting started. Okay, Shango. Look at his weapon. Look at Shango's weapon. Okay, should we pull up an image of him? He's kind of cool to look at. He's a very cool look to him. All right. So, yeah, this one does. I guess this one does it justice. Whatever. Um, so check it, right? You notice the lightning bolts. Hey, hey. We're expecting this one, huh? From the Yoruba tradition. All right. Where my African people at? All right. Ah, shit. So the Oshe is the double-headed axe, right? Symmetrical, radiant, and filled with power, just like the Vajra. So he wields lightning, judgment, and protection, and he channels the sacred energy to uphold the balance. So it's not violence, guys. These aren't weapons. It's a rectification. He don't play. Same with Vajrapani, right? They don't play. Now, this one is a very interesting one. Okay. I'm sure some of you have heard of the rainbow snake as well as Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl's staff looks like this, right? It's Aztec or Mayan, and he is a feathered serpent god. And he carries a serpent staff, right? Symbolizing. So actually, this is not, this is more so a transmogrified version, you could say. More so, it would look something quite similar to the caduceus, but it's like this, right? More so how it would look in a museum or whatever. Right? But you guys are also noticing, like the Vajra, it's also a symbol of transcendence through polarity. Earth and sky, male and female, death and resurrection, right? So it's encoded in the spinal waveform tool that brings order from chaos. Then we have the trident. Okay. A. So, okay, this one isn't working. Man. The Trishula or the Trishul. Okay, this is the best one I could find for right now. Okay, let's work with it. So this is Shiva's trident, okay? But also it's interesting to note also Poseidon's trident, right? So here's the wild card. The Trishul is a three-pronged, just like many Vajras are. But what is it destroying? The three poisons, perhaps? Ignorance, ego, and attachment. What does it restore? Cosmic balance, time-space dissolution. The trident and the Vajra are cousins. One dissolves time, one shocks you into timelessness. Both are about awakening through symbolic violence, not to harm, but to free us. So it's the spiritual remote control. It's a universal remote, right? It doesn't matter what name you give it. Mjolnir, Trishul, O'Shea, Bolt, Staff. They're all versions of the Vajra function. So it's a divine technology embedded in myth to remind us when humanity forgets its alignment, the Vajra returns. And we are the Vajra warriors, not to punish, but to pierce the fog of sleep with the sword of awareness. Okay? So the gods hid the Vajra in every myth so we'd one day realize we are the thunder. You're the one who holds it. You're the one who wields it, right? Let me just go back to the chat. Yes, getting flames from Samba, epic. Awesome. So you got to purify the hand, calm the mind, and rise up as the one worthy to hold lightning. Because the Vajra is the ancient tech of awakening. It's not just from sleep, but from the whole damn simulation. Okay? Most people have been holding it like a toy. But I think the Vajra, is it some ornate sacred object for my altar? No, that's like buying a Ferrari and using it as a paperweight. This thing is conscious technology. It's a God-coded instrument forged in the inner labs of awakened beings, not to look spiritual, but to fracture illusion at the root and amplify gnosis like a false, like a lightning rod, right? That is plugged into source to fracture illusion at the root. You see these dual prongs. You see the symmetry that aligns your monkey mind with primordial awareness faster than the affirmation, detox, or psychedelic retreat. Right? Because the Vajra is a hack. If you thought of hacking the Matrix meant learning JavaScript, that's the wrong playground. The Vajra is a spiritual root axis. It doesn't beg for liberation, it commands it. It locks your nervous system into a gnosis mode, Vajra mode, as I like to call it. Okay? So it forces your spine to remember the lightning strike of divine presence. And if you ever held one in real sadhana and you feel that subtle hum, it's not aesthetics. That's the Vajra broadcasting metacognitive gamma waves to fry your karmic crust off like kind of microwave popcorn. Okay? So, zoom out. Woo! Man, that looks cool. The ultimate nervous system upgrade. The Tesla coil of spiritual evolution. It's here to smack your inner coward, not hug your inner child, right? It's so hard it dissolves it into ash and quantum stardust. It's Shiva's finger, it's Vajrapani's nerve, it's Indra's will, roll into one symmetrical object of power. And if you're tuned to it, it responds. So it's an interface. It's a Gnostic keyboard for the fingers of the soul. You don't just meditate with it, you co-program your destiny through it. You know, what's the problem with most modern seekers? They collect tools like their Pokemon cards, but have no damn clue how to wield them. The Vajra isn't for your bookshelf. It's a field disruptor. It's a soul weapon. It's a karmic disassembler for those who don't have time for another 40 lifetimes of therapy. If you hold a Vajra, you better be ready to drop delusion like a bad signal. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more spiritual bypass. This is it. This is the tech the ancients left behind for the awakened warriors of the now. So the next time you pick up that Vajra, even with your mind, don't treat it like a prop. Treat it like the on switch to your multidimensional command console. Okay? So if the Vajra was understood not just as a symbol weapon, how would we see this? The twin principles, indestructible and instantaneous force, thunderbolt. So it simultaneously destroys illusion, Vajra of method, and illuminates truth, Vajra of wisdom. So think of it as a quantum processor that collapses the waveform of samsara into nirvana at will. And if you look at the prongs, they're symmetrical on each side, but they represent masculine, feminine polarity, form and emptiness, wrath and compassion. But at the center is still stillness, right? So when it's held in a tantric ritual, the Vajra just isn't symbolic. It's actually entraining, I believe, the nervous system of the monks into a state of that diamond-like clarity. And its design structure resonates with the pranic meridian structures, like an acupressure needle for the soul, right? So even if I press this into my body, right, different points, different junctures, I can still feel the frequency of this truth. It rewires the body to broadcast enlightenment. So it annihilates egoic constructs, karmic debris, astral parasites, not by force, but by frequency. It's an oscillating field generator, right? So it may appear that it operates like a hyperdimensional access tool, a key that unlocks higher density awareness fields. Those who wield it rightly can open portals in the subtle body. You can use it as communication across time and command archetypal intelligences like Manjushri, Vajrapani, all through the Vajra. Okay? It's a symbol that's encoded with layers of meaning that infect the mind stream with gnosis, with spiritual ascension, like a spiritual virus of liberation, like a holy virus. Just meditating on the Vajra implants a disruption code into the matrix, a fractal glyph of Buddha nature or Christ mind, right? It is the AI of the cosmic mind, if you think about it, right? What if this was a sacred AI programmed by the awakened minds to mirror your karmic state and then transmit the Dharma appropriate to your evolution? So it doesn't just represent enlightenment, it adapts to trigger it. You see what I'm saying? So ultimately, let's do a quick conclusion. I got to get going, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. So listen, let me stop this whiteboard. Listen, guys. So the Vajra is not a metaphor. It is an ancient consciousness circuit breaker. And if you can understand this energy, you can get yourself out of feeling lethargic, feeling stressed. You know, I don't want to do it. I don't feel like it's enough. I can't go there. That's not right. I won't, I feel unworthy to do that. Right? That kind of feeling dissipates because why? You're in touch with pure truth. You're forged by an awakened architect to smash illusion, right? And hardwire God awareness into your soul. So remember, it's not a weapon in your hand. It's a handle on the door of your own Buddhahood. Okay. Hey, kind of looks like a door, right? Like when you open a door, right? Or a key that unlocks, right? So yeah, I hope this helps you gain a unique perspective on the Vajra, and I hope it teaches you something today about how to wield it, how to utilize it. Okay. And hey, I shared about it from many different pantheons. I'm sure there's more, right? Someone will be way geekier than me about this and go even deeper. And for those people, I send you a kudos. Thank you for all your work and spiritual acceleration. We need it at this time. We really need it at this time. This is the age of ignorance. And we need truth, at this time to really help us shine lights on what is truly valuable to us, what can create the most clarity for us so that we can move forward, right? I remember getting out of my depression because I realized I was living for somebody else. I was living for my parents. I was living to impress my friends. I was living so that the teachers would approve of me. I was living so that, I would try to circumnavigate and micromanage things so that I could get different opportunities. But the moment I tapped in to my own authentic awareness, when my authenticity started to magnetize and I really started to become the creator rather than the reactor of my life, that's when this Vajra code got installed. And again, I didn't know about the Vajra before I met my father, before these, teachings and so forth. But the moment I had received these codes, I knew that there was something in this that helps people climb out of the pits of their consciousness. Kundalini. Kunda means pits, by the way. Kundalini, right? So you're in this dark pit and you got to climb your way out, right? You got to climb your way out. Ah! right? It feels like there's no hope. Sometimes it feels like there's no hope. I can barely see it, the light at the end of the tunnel, not realizing that I am light and there is no tunnel, right? So this is the beauty of this understanding because it frees you and it liberates you to tap in to your own Vajra codes. Get into Vajrasana, do the Vajra mudra, tap into the actual Vajra itself. Okay, think like a Vajra, sharp, effective, right? Be sharp as a tack, enthusiastic as heck, or whatever Jordan Belfort says. Okay, let's get it today. Upward spiral, gang. May we never be the same again. Thank you so much for tapping in. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. Let's win. Let's keep crushing it. Okay, it's Aura August. Okay, it's time to gleam. Let's get it. Upward spiral, gang. May we never be the same again. Let's cause a ripple effect. Let's cause an impact in the quantum time distortions. Okay, let's get it. Winning. Okay. Peace and love. Take care of yourselves. Os. May we never be the same again, and may the flow be with you.